We have another project that we like a lot because we've done quite a bit of work on it over the years. It's called Island, and it's more like the Midas deposit in Nevada, very high grades, and we get some very high grades in our surface sampling. And we've done some limited kind of really wide space drilling. We've had some, spectacular intercepts.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. Joining me now is Joe Keeses. He is the CEO of Bravada Gold. And Joe, it's good to see you. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you? Good
I'm
to
doing
be
well.
speaking with you. Yes.
Yeah, good to speak with you as well. Excited a little bit more about the company. It's a really interesting makeup of the company. Maybe sort of give us a bit of background on it.
Yeah, so I've been an exploration geologist for, well, 40 odd years. And, mostly with large companies in the early years and then joining a number of juniors over the last few years. I've been with Bravada. I helped start that up as a sort of a explorer, joint venture partner type model. About 20 years ago, we've been focusing on Nevada, and Nevada is a great place to find things. It's a great place to explore. I've worked in lots of North America and South America, and you look at the risk reward, the cost is lower to do exploration, and the rewards can be quite high. So that's kind of the focus there. Mostly what we do is we focus on gold and silver deposits in Nevada. There are a number of types of gold or deposits with gold in them, but the two that we focus on are the typical Carlin deposits, which Nevada is famous for, and also low sulfidation vein systems, which can be extremely profitable. And I've worked on some of those in North and South America, and Nevada has a good showing of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, so are you looking at sort of getting the projects to a certain state and then sort of moving them along or getting partners in, or how does that work?
Yeah. Well, when we look at a project, I look at it from sort of the perspective of a large company, right? So they want a big deposit, multi-million ounces, great grade, easy to mine, all this sort of stuff. So, when we take on a project, we think it has that possibility. And as we do work on the project, sometimes, well, maybe we're not quite as excited about it, and we'll either drop the property or move it on to somebody that it makes more sense to develop. So one good example of that is our what's been our flagship property, which is the Wind Mountain project in northwestern Nevada. It's a great place to do work. It has had prior production, and we picked it up because it's a low sulfidation type of system. And when you look at those worldwide, they're often fed by these very, very high grade feeder structures. What was mined, however, was kind of the blossom over the top of the flower. We're looking for the high grade stem. We spent a lot of money doing that, and we've not really found a place that has an economic stem, if you will. So it still may exist there, but there is a nice little deposit that is exposed on surface. The economics look very good. It basically sticks out of the ground in a number of places. So that's a deposit we did a PEA on, and it can produce something like 40 or 50,000 ounces a year, based on that study. The economics are quite good, but that's a pretty small mine, and so the groups that would be interested in taking that on, why find more than 6 or 7 years worth of production at this point? So it doesn't make a lot of sense for us as explorers to develop kind of beyond where we are right now. So we're looking for a partner on Wind Mountain. It's likely to be a small mining group, smallerish type of mining
Yeah.
exploration company that wants a nice profitable mine, low risk, open pit oxide in Nevada. It just doesn't get any better than that. If it were a lot bigger, we'd have, a larger group of companies that we would want to sell or joint venture with. We do have 7 other projects that we have in Nevada, and they're at various stages. We just picked up a new project, and again, the reason we picked it up at a time when it's tough to raise money for exploration is because I see this as a big company project. It's modeled
Yeah.
after the Silicon Merlin discovery in the Walker Lane. Our project is called East Walker. It's also in the Walker Lane. And yesterday, AngloGold Ashanti just announced, an increase up to, was it 13, over 13 million ounces of gold in their discovery. So it's an interesting type of deposit because there's no gold to speak of at surface. but they understand the model now better and understand why they drill deeper, and we're very successful in finding really one of the largest discoveries this decade in Nevada.
So, Joe, what's the sort of plan for this year? You obviously mentioned you picked up that new one, which is interesting, and you're looking at that. But are you looking at working on some of the other projects as well this year, or will that depend on financing? I mean, there's a lot of things that are at play right now in 2025.
Yeah. No, that's right. We have another project that we like a lot because we've done quite a bit of work on it over the years. It's called Island, and it's more like the Midas deposit in Nevada, very high grades, and we get some very high grades in our surface sampling. And we've done some limited kind of really wide space drilling. We've had some, spectacular intercepts, as is typical in these type of deposits. When you're above the top of the ore zone, you get these little leakage areas and you get some
Yeah,
pretty spectacular hits. And, they're not the deposit, but it tells you you're in the right area. So that's where we are with that project. Um, we're in the process of permitting a drilling program on that project. Again, that'll be dependent on financing.
absolutely. Well, Joe, thanks for the update. I know it's busy going on, and hopefully we're seeing some better times this year for the explorers. It'd be nice to get more money for the juniors for sure. Good to see you as well, and good luck with everything. We look forward to following the story this year.
Okay, just maybe one more comment on
Yeah,
that is that, it has been really, difficult time for, joint venture partnerships because
yeah.
people are afraid to make decisions. I'm leaving tomorrow on my third property visit this month. This is a short month. And so, there are people getting active. They think things are going to improve, and that's really good for our business model.
Absolutely. Well, good luck. Have a good trip, Joe. Good to see you.
All right. Thanks so much for speaking with me then.
All right, Joe Keeses. He's the CEO of Bravada Gold.